What if? That's the question that sparks a multiverse of incredible possibilities. One small change in reality can impact all of existence. These changes can reveal hard truths about heroism and sacrifice, or the impact one person can have on the world. They can be cautionary tales and meaningful fables, or they can be plain ridiculous. And if Deadpool is involved, you can bet it will be straight up nonsense. Deadpool is deadly in his own right, but amplified by the power of Spider-Man's deadly foe, Venom. He is even more dangerous. So dangerous, in fact, it would prove too much for the Earth. This is the story of What If Venom Possessed Deadpool? The man with the MODOK butt. It all began on an alternate Earth, one not so different from the Earth 616 we all know and love. An Earth perpetually stuck in the mid-80s, a time when the universal reality warper known as the Beyonder transported heroes and villains to take part in his secret wars. While lounging in his apartment, a casually dressed Deadpool took a call from a mysterious client. Could he kill a cosmic deity? Totally! I've assassinated a bunch of those for sure. If you've got the money. There's no job too small or too. But before he could finish his boast, Deadpool found himself transported in a flash of green cosmic light. Suddenly, Deadpool found himself standing before the mighty world eater, Galactus. But Galactus was troubled at seeing Deadpool.
Your short shorts, so tight, they leave little to the imagination of your new master.
Deadpool offered to take them off, but warned he was going commando. Galactus cut him off and ordered his herald to tell Deadpool who he was being hired to kill. Deadpool's target was to be none other than the cosmic, Jerry Curl-powered, omnipotent space deity, the Beyonder. Galactus wanted revenge for a practical joke the Beyonder had played on the mighty World Eater. Deadpool didn't have time for any wisecracks before Galactus demanded silence.
Galactus is confused and alarmed by the feelings brought on your short shorts. Name your price and be gone!
As he stood up, Galactus revealed that his posterior had been replaced by the villainous MODOK, the giant-headed super scientist. MODOK demanded to know what was going on, but Galactus ignored him. It's only going to get weirder, people. Just roll with it. This is a Deadpool story. Deadpool named his price, the Continuity Cube. It would grant the wielder absolute relevancy. With it, Wade Wilson could affect the lives of every popular hero on Earth, thus mattering more than any other, regardless of the quality of his deeds. Galactus agreed to Deadpool's terms and armed him with a mighty weapon, the Retcon Expungifier. The device had the capability to totally erase the Beyonder from existence by changing history to suit the user's will. With the weapon in Deadpool's hands, Galactus sent the Merc with a Mouth back to the planet Earth. Now, it was time to get serious. Decked out in his classic costume, Deadpool proceeded to dive into the underworld and put on his gritty monologue voice. But before we move on, be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications on to never miss an upload, and smash that like button for some plot armor today. Deadpool cuts a bloody path through the dance club the Beyonder was hiding out in. Destiny was calling, and Destiny's name was Death! Focus. Work the variables. Dozens of roads lead to sideways. Only one leads to payout. The stink of high-dollar champagne and Drakkar Noir. The story in a flash. The geeks drunk, distracted, guard down. But once Deadpool laid his eyes on the Beyonder's tacky 80s look, he found himself hypnotized. His Jerry curls, so beautiful, so perfect. He knew that a surprise attack was his one chance to kill the Beyonder. He reached for his gun, but the Beyonder's enchantments were too great. His magical crooning calmed the would-be assassin. Whoa, no need for violence. Join us, party. The champagne is cold, but the ladies are hot. The opening was gone, and Deadpool fell to the Beyonder's wishes. He had no chance but to comply and to party heartily. By the time Deadpool and his new friends left the bar, he was decked out in a matching white jumpsuit and curly wig. And the party wasn't over yet. Now it was time to take things back to the Beyonder's happening pad. The party crew piled into a limo, but unbeknownst to the revealers, they were being secretly watched from above. The one and only Spider-Man was on their tail, and he was mad. As the limousine took off into the air, Spidey followed, swinging through the air. While Deadpool made moves on the ladies and Beyonder poured more drinks, Spidey came crashing through the window and smashed his foot into the Beyonder's jaw in a righteous kick of fury. "You monster!" he shouted. "You led me to this evil symbiotic jumpsuit!" Spider-Man was furious. He couldn't get the thing off, and he was ready to kill the Beyonder in revenge. But Beyonder had backup. His driver blasted Spider-Man with a powerful energy weapon that sent the wall crawler flying out of the car. The energy blast also forced the symbiote loose. A naked and defenseless Peter Parker fell helplessly out of the sky as the Venom symbiote clung to the limo. As the violence unfolded, Deadpool sat back and enjoyed the chaos. "You rock a strange and bewildering life, Beyonder. Sexy and dangerous. I like it." As the assassin rambled, Beyonder tried to warn him that the symbiote was approaching, but it was no use. With a disgusting splorch, Venom bonded with the oblivious Deadpool, creating a new, monstrous creature. Venompool was born. Beyonder looked on in pride. "Tubular! That thing bonded with you, creating a new, super cool anti-hero with wicked sentient jerry curls. That is one primo outfit." Although he could do without the razor-sharp teeth and tongues, Deadpool was excited about all the potential discounts he could get around town with his new, creepy look. All of Wade's dreams were coming true. Venompool and Beyonder raised a toast to merriment. Venompool Begins. But there was no action to be had for nearly 10 years. The merriment went on as Beyonder and Venompool partied their lives away, even knocking Tony Stark off the wagon and dragging him into the gutter with them. As Tony drunkenly rambled on about how much he loved his party time friends, Beyonder had an awakening. "Your breath, taco mix, Sharpie marker, and kitty litter." The smell had brought on a moment of clarity. Stark and Venompool's nonsense no longer amused him, and he now felt that his talents were being wasted, living in an alleyway. He vowed to go back into the world. Venompool called out to him.
"We made an oath! We swore to keep it real!"
But Beyonder was committed to being relevant again and threw down his empty beer bottle and walked away from his drunken compatriots. With the cosmic god gone, his magic began to fade, and Venompool came to his senses. Or what passed for senses with Deadpool.
"I'll kill him!"
He just had to find the retcon expungifier. Unfortunately, they sold the gun and Tony's Iron Man armor for more booze. But Deadpool was already moving on to his plans for revenge. He vowed to get back at the Beyonder for using them to further his party lifestyle. To do so, he'd become even more relevant than the Beyonder, but first, he'd need some cash. It's too bad he didn't have a billionaire genius weapons designer to hold for ransom. Wait, he did. Venom sold out his party bro Tony Stark to the villainous scientists at AIM. But the money didn't last long. After blowing all the money on a big old house, he was desperate. Now he needed a job to be a real hero. But his attempts to join the Fantastic Four and Avengers were foiled due to their anti-Jerry curl stance. The Defenders, the misfit superhero team, offered to take him in, but even Venompool wasn't that desperate. In shame, Venompool retired to the iconic bell tower where Peter Parker originally separated himself from the symbiote costume. He knew that to be taken seriously, he would need to get rid of the curls. As the bells chimed, Deadpool screamed in pain and pulled furiously at the symbiotic curls. At last, unable to stand the sounds anymore, the curls abandoned him. Now, he was free from the symbiote demon and all the stress and anxiety that came with it. Free from the accursed curls, Deadpool was free to be a hero. To accomplish that goal, Venompool set out and mutilated every criminal he found. His misguided heroics left mindless violence and rivers of blood in his wake. Unfortunately, the people he tried to save were more horrified by his mutilations and decapitations than any muggers that he might have stopped. What's a murderous mercenary gotta do to be appreciated around here? Even worse, with the Beyonders' ongoing secret wars causing endless superhero crossover events, Venompool's heroics weren't even making the newspapers. Saving lives by slaughtering small-time crooks wasn't even getting him any attention. To make a splash and get his headline-stealing revenge on Beyonder, Venompool would have to get involved in the big superhero events. It was only those major secret wars and superhero slugfests that mattered to people. That was how he could make a name for himself. Venompool approached the latest Super Battle pay-per-view event, Secret Wars Extreme 13, but didn't know how to start. How could a nobody anti-hero like him have an impact amid all the colorfully dressed people beating on each other? Venompool had to figure out what important thing he could do that would ensure a higher status. After being harassed by a 90s-era sunglass-wearing leather coat modeling version of the century for his costume, Deadpool decided crossovers with other heroes were more trouble than they were worth, which meant it was time to find some other way to make a name for himself. Little did he know that the symbiote curls he had jettisoned were out there waiting for their revenge. Yes, the symbiote curls had a mind of their own and wanted to murder him. We warned you that it was gonna get weird. Wait, who's having a baby? This revenge wouldn't come through something as simple as a big fight. No, this symbiote, the Carnage Curl, had been bonded to Deadpool, which meant that it was as mentally unstable as him. Carnage Curl took her revenge in the form of a relationship with Deadpool's hated enemy, the Beyonder. On a trashy daytime talk show, they talked through their complicated history. After years of trying to make a difference in the world, Venompool found himself getting upstaged over and over again by the Beyonder. So, he decided to abandon the headline revenge and go for good old-fashioned violence. Venompool tracked down his retcon expungifier, but before he used it, he planned to play mind tricks on his old foe. He invited the Beyonder to a party at his place where he would trick the deity into sitting through a sales pitch for a pyramid scheme. Harassed and confused, Beyonder would no longer expect Venompool's deadly revenge. But Beyonder had the last laugh. He showed up with Carnage. After months of torturing the poor anti-hero through deeds as vile as murdering his great secret Uncle Buffalo Hopscotch and taking an upper-decker at his country time birthday party hoedown and making everyone think Venompool left a stinky turd in the toilet, this was his final act of cruelty. I'm with the Beyonder now. You gotta respect me different. Why? Because she was pregnant. What a twist! And who was the evil symbiote's baby daddy? The obvious answer was the Beyonder. The thought of it brought Venompool to his knees in sorrow. But the truth was even worse. The father was none other than Galactus. He tore through the set to reveal his twisted plan and announced that his long-delayed revenge on the Beyonder, remember how this all started, was complete. Venompool had no choice but to watch in horror as a furious Beyonder did battle with the World Eater. So powerful was their mighty clash that it ended in the destruction of the entire planet Earth. the best there is. But that was not the end of this bizarre story, because, luckily for the people of Earth, Deadpool survived the explosion, and he still had his retcon expungifier. As the godly beings fought through the vacuum of space, Venompool raised the weapon.
Enough of your power tripping. You're both too powerful to exist and leave me only one course of action. I hereby expunge you from all continuity!
Venompool blasted the cosmic gods, wiping them out completely and rewriting history so their battle never happened. The Earth was restored. The best part of all, Venompool was able to turn his story into a movie and become the most famous celebrity in the world. At the premiere of his superhero epic, Venompool felt only one thing. Not pride in his achievements, not the dignity born from helping others. Nope, just a sick joy for those who he'd made envious of his accomplishments. A happy ending. Venompool finally had what he wanted: ultimate notoriety and attention from everyone. Just kidding. Fame wasn't enough for Wade Wilson when there were other heroes out there getting any attention at all. There was only one way to get what he felt he deserved. That was to wipe out anyone capable of similar heroic deeds. When an interview at his premiere was interrupted by Thor, Venom took matters into his own hands. When Thor stopped for a bathroom break, the symbiote assassin was waiting. He stole Thor's hammer and launched a surprise assault while the Thunder God was vulnerable and defenseless on the toilet. How did he pick up Mjolnir? Maybe saving the world got him a few worthiness points? Yeah, let's go with that. Over the next year, Venompool killed every hero and villain, saving only the most attractive ones to remain as worshippers. As the only one left, he became, by default, the most important superhero in the world. Now, he truly mattered. He starred in every movie and appeared on every book and magazine cover. His adventures were bigger and more important than anyone's had ever been. Everything he did had a ripple effect on the world, and now he was in charge of it all. Atop the White House, with his slain enemies displayed as warnings across the lawn, he summoned lightning and announced his total victory in the classiest way he knew how.
Suck it, world! I'm the best! Now you see!
And yet, even with no other heroes or villains left to steal his attention, he was somehow still tortured by the memories of those who dared to defy him in the past. On another talk show, he couldn't help rambling about the Beyonder who didn't even exist anymore. The host pointed this out and suggested that disparaging him now when you have so much, it seems tacky. Venompool's retribution was swift. He stabbed him in the chest and burned his body. But Venompool was man enough to admit that perhaps there was something deeper troubling him. Nothing was making him feel like the success he'd worked so hard to become. He turned to superhero psychiatrist Doc Samson for therapy. Venompool opened up about his insecurities. Samson observed that Deadpool was desperate for external validation because all his life, he wondered why others conspired to make him feel bad about himself. That sounded right to Deadpool.
That's right, Doc. They made me feel that way. The Beyonder dared to abandon me.
Samson took it a step further. A step too far. He had the bravado to offer Venompool the most dangerous thing in the world: the truth. Most often, a person with the victim complex was cast out not because there's a conspiracy against them, but because of their own behavior. Most often, when someone doesn't like who they are, they mask that fact with a wall of arrogance and ego. It's quite common for someone who feels persecuted to be blind to the reality that, well, he's just a jerk who no one wants to be around. Naturally, Venompool took this candid psychoanalysis as a moment for self-evaluation. He self-evaluated that Samson deserved to be roasted. Venompool left Samson's office, the doc now nothing but a charred corpse. But even as he walked home, with throngs of people on the street bowing to him as he passed them by, Venompool was troubled by Samson's words. The symbiote king of the world realized his pursuit of power had caused him to waste his life when he should have focused on living a compelling life, to grow and evolve as a human, learn from his mistakes, and become a better person for its own sake, even when no one was watching. There was only one course of action that remained. At home, Venompool reached for the retcon expungifier hidden in a drawer. Now, he was finally ready to live a life true to who he was at his deepest core. Unfortunately for everyone else in reality, his true self was a total jerk. Instead of doing all that other crap with the learning and the thinking, Venompool just erased the entire universe. Now, there was no one to steal attention from him because there was no one left at all. Just a blank white page. There's a lesson here for us all that we should take to heart. Don't let Venom wear a symbiote. And there you have it, folks, a multiversal horror story of cosmic proportions. Make sure to subscribe and keep watching Plot Armor Comics for more deranged alternate realities and symbiote shenanigans. I'm Anthony Fan, and thank you for watching.